Even if they don't all win, we can only have one winner. They're going to get a lot of exposure from this, and I hear that they still get amazing partnerships and people approach them. So a very big thank you to the ITC for coming up with such a platform for young entrepreneurs on the continent. Okay, so welcome to WEDF 2019, the ITC pitch competition. And so, what's going to be happening today is that this pitch competition is for social entrepreneurs. So that's kind of like what would set them apart from just regular entrepreneurs, is that while every business exists to make money, they're doing that, but at the same time, their projects are impacting their communities and beyond. And so that's one of the things that the judges are really going to be keen on and looking for. This is the third pitch competition that the ITC is hosting. The first was in Hungary, then Zambia, and now we're here in Addis for the third edition of this exciting competition. And at the heart of WEDF as a whole is a drive toward development. And so the pitch competition is part of that. So you're going to hear businesses from today. They're going to be talking about what it is that they're doing, and the judges are going to have certain criteria, very specific criteria, that they're going to be listening out for, and they're going to score each one of the finalists that comes up. Okay, so we know that one of the things that continues to come up regularly when it comes to entrepreneurship, regardless of what age they are, is financing. So this is a great platform for them to be able to have that seed funding. And I'd just like to tell you who our jury members are. Mr. Charles Antipem. He's actually last year's winner. And I'm going to show you why one of the reasons that he won. So this is his kit from his business, Dext Technologies. And so this little kit that you see here, right? This is kind of like a $20,000 lab that has been kind of, I don't even know what you call it. It's been shrunk and compacted to this little kit. And so what would be a $20,000 lab is $20. And from this, when he came here last year, it was 23 experiments that he could do with this kit. And with the money that he got from here, he's raised a further $150,000 since. And now he's got 46 experiments, and he's done over 50,000 hours of reaching young people and getting them super excited about science. And that's something we really need on the continent, and I think that's really amazing. Our second judge is Ms. Colette van der Ven. And what's really amazing about Colette is Colette was here last year, and she was one of the judges last year. So she's been through this process, and she knows exactly what she's looking for from a winning company. And Colette's company, Sidley Austin, they're an international law firm. She's going to speak to us at the end, just like 10 or 15 seconds, to just tell us the legal advice that they're going to be giving to, well, they can apply for it, not that you get it automatically, but she's going to explain that. And yesterday, I was kind of speaking to her about just some of what they do, and it's really amazing. It's stuff that entrepreneurs usually don't think about. So that's a really important role. And then we've got Ms. Mahlet Afterwork. And Mahlet really does an incredible project. She's got a fashion house. And so her collection, which is really amazing, is they produce cotton that is grown in Ethiopia. It's hand woven by female artisans, which is just like super incredible. So that is an amazing example of what a social entrepreneur does, just impacting the lives, particularly of women in her own country. And then we have Mr. Aliyo Jallo, who I spoke with almost for 3 hours yesterday. His story is so amazing. It's one of those, he's like one of those very rare individuals that you're probably gonna meet like once or twice in your life. He's just really incredible. He's got such a fantastic story of how he grew up, and he's super passionate about entrepreneurs. So when he comes on here, it's from his own journey, from what he's seen in the Gambia. His company, the startup incubator in the Gambia, has helped thousands of entrepreneurs, and he's got a 98% success rate with entrepreneurs. So you know he's startups. So those of you who've started a business, you know how hard it is, but also just from an economics point of view, a lot of startups don't even make it past their first year. And so that he's got a 98% success rate is absolutely amazing. So he's also going to know what he's looking for from a winning company today. So I don't want to take up any more time. I would like to start with our first finalist, Hilina Damte, and she's from GH Blockchain.
Hello guys, thanks for this opportunity. So when you guys drink a cup of coffee, you probably think it takes under 5 minutes to make. Well, think again. The coffee bean that you drink actually goes through many hands, and it's a long journey before it gets to you. It goes through many hands like farmers, brokers, logistics providers, and insurance companies, which makes it very hard to trace and very inefficient to trade until the new technology that's disruptive called blockchain. And this can apply to many agro-commodities, not only coffee. The supply chain in the agro industry is inefficient due to farmers having to go through multiple brokers to sell their product, traditional contracts taking days to implement, and settlement of payments taking days to even weeks. GNH Blockchain's Agro-Africa solution is solving inefficiencies in the export sector by building transparency by building transparency in the export sector using blockchain technology with our 3 secret sauce products: GNH Smart Contract, GNH Tracking, and GNH Bit Payments. So the potential market represented in the agro-industry market in Uganda and Rwanda alone over the next 3 years is actually $6 billion. Our market go-to strategy is press and marketing, community engagement, and direct initiatives on the ground. Our revenue model is an average of 4 to 7% from transaction fees and 0.05% from API subscription fees. Our competitions include Agricore and IBM Food Trust, but what actually differentiates us is that we're on the ground with these farmers and we can actually relate to them because, as you all know, most Africans are second-generation farmers. So we predict that we will have a revenue of 800,000 in the first year and actually 1.6 million transactions per day after 3 years. So we have a dynamic and driven team which has a combined experience of 20 years in the agro industry and like 5 years in the agri-tech industry. So we can make this happen. Also, we need $500,000 to actually get this off the ground and running. And we're also calling on NGOs, development agencies, and governments to help us to launch a global initiative to radically improve the lives of the people that need it the most, which are the farmers. Also help us close the gap in this male-dominated industry, which is agri-tech. Thank you very much for your time.
Okay, just what I didn't say at the beginning, which I should have said and kind of forgot to say, was that each finalist is going to come, they're going to speak for 3 minutes, as you just saw Hilina do, and then the judges are going to ask them a bunch of questions. So, yes.
Okay, really great presentation. Thank you very much. My question is what you're doing, can it be done without blockchain? And if you could, what would that look like?
Well, it can't be done without blockchain, right? Because blockchain is immutable, it can't be changed, and it's transparent, and it's in real time. So it would really be hard to trace along this long value chain without the use of blockchain. So no.
Thank you. What a great presentation again. My question will be, if you get this 5,000 USD, what would you do with it, and how are you planning to spend it, and how that money would add value on your business?
Sure. So we already developed the smart contract part. So we would continue to actually make the traceability part, but also train the farmers, because you actually have to be on the ground and teach these farmers how to use our technology. So we would initially spend it on that and marketing as well.
So this will be for training?
Well, to develop further, and also just to be on the ground and show the farmers how to use it. Like I mentioned, we actually will use direct initiatives on the ground. So.
Hi, thank you for a very interesting idea. I would like to know a little bit more about what this looks like, because when you use the word blockchain, I think most people go, wait, I don't know how that works. It's too complicated. Like if you Google it, you get YouTube videos explaining what it is, and still there's a lot of people that don't quite grasp what this means, right? So could you perhaps walk us through, if there's a cocoa farmer, and he's now harvested his beans, where and how does your blockchain technology come in? And where and how does it help him overcome issues with middleman, with payment solutions? Is it mobile phone based? What should we envision with the product or products?
Sure. Thanks for this great question, by the way. So yes, blockchain, when everybody hears blockchain, it's like they get confused. But initially, let me just simplify blockchain for you guys. So for example, Google, right? It's a centralized controlled system. But with blockchain, it's not. So everybody initially controls it. So answering to the question about how would the farmers use it. So it's very easy. The farmers wouldn't even know they're using blockchain, right? So they would upload their products, what they have, their price. But where it would also help them is the fact that we would give them access to market, to the buyers that want it. So that's how they would actually eliminate the middleman. They don't have to go through all these initial brokers. Then for the end consumer, they can actually see where their product comes from and the value chain, how it takes it to get to where they are. So for example, a coffee buyer in New York can essentially order directly from a farmer in Uganda, and they'll be able to trace it along the value chain when it gets to them.
And just to follow up on that, what's the technology being used there? Is this through mobile phones? Is there going to be an app? How is the tracing going to be done?
So when you use it, you actually use a mobile phone, or we'll have stations at different co-ops, farming co-ops, right? But to trace it, so we're using Ethereum, the framework. So, and we'll be able to enter it. So let's say if it's picked up from the farm and it goes to, while it's going to the port, so we'll enter along each value chain. The logistics company, they'll be able to all enter it in.
Okay, thank you for that wonderful pitch. But I'll just go right to the finance part. And this is where I just want to know, you've mentioned that you need almost $500,000, right? When do you envisage to break even in terms of your financial projections?
3 years.
3 years.
Yes.
Okay, so let's look at in terms of also, you talked about the market size of 1 billion, 6 billion, am I right? In Kenya and, in Uganda and Rwanda. Right? So that's just 2 countries in Africa. Now, in terms of scale, how do you plan to scale it to other countries? Looking at the social impact of this initiative, in sort of a lot of farmers that are poor, don't have access to some of these facilities.
Yes, so actually, as you know, Africa is like 80% of the people are farmers. So it's definitely scalable. So we're planning on starting in Uganda, Rwanda, showing it works, then replicate that to other countries, Kenya, Ethiopia, but then also later on down the line, Africa as a whole.
Yeah, just a follow-up question. In regards to your the 6 billion people that you talked about, what is your total addressable market? Are you saying you're gonna actually, this is all gonna be your customers, the 6 billion people? Did you know what your total addressable market is?
No, $6 billion is the
worth.
Yes, so I mean, that's the potential of the market,
yes,
is what I'm saying.
So
but even if we reach 20%, if we get 20% of that, it's still amazing.
Okay, 20%. Thank you.
Hilina, may I ask you a question?
Sure.
So I'm just wanting to find out, again, going back to what Colette said, just to simplify it in terms of going to the market and simplifying it and saying to them what it is so they know what they're buying. But also that's going to be the one end of it when you're talking about the farmers. The other end of it is going to be the buyers. How are you going to market to them to tell them we're in the market, and this is how this is going to work for you?
We're actually going to win the consumers because they will get cheaper price for their products since we're actually cutting out all the middlemen. So that's how we would grab them. Who wouldn't want cheaper prices, right? And they would be able to actually trace and see where their product comes from, which is the transparency part, right?
Judges, do you have any more questions? Okay, so we're going to, thank you so much, Hilina.
Thanks again.
Mr. André Mousseni from PSM.
Good afternoon, everyone. After several years living in the United Kingdom, I decided to return to my home country, Cameroon, to start my ambitions to develop an agribusiness in rural area of my country. The company I started is called PSM, that is specialized in the production, commercialization of white peppercorn, a variety of crops that produce the high yields and revenue among other perennial crops. To do that, the reason we decided to do that is to fight against rural immigration, rural exodus of young people from the rural area to the main city. We also want to increase the level of productivity of white pepper in Cameroon, which is renowned as one of the best countries in the world to grow peppercorn. We doing that by organizing young people in the rural area to regroup themselves in cooperative society. We will provide them with 40,000 seedlings of peppercorns to start their farming activities, and then we will provide them with trainings and assist them to get to the AgroPro program in the country. We currently sell 3.5 tons of peppercorn annually, white peppercorns, and then for a value market of $84,770 a year. We sell our product to supermarket, leading supermarket, restaurants, and then a hotel. Our products are 5 references that we have there: grain, and then grounded. We are currently here standing in order to share our golden ambitions with you in order to assist us with potential investor that will be allowing us to farm for 450 hectares of pastoral land, which will produce 900 tons of peppercorn annually, and then allowed for stable income for rural people that will stop them going from the village to the city. And then in return, we will have the possibility to generate above $9 million every year after 5 years, with an incremental value of 20% every year up to 30 years. Thank you very much for your kind attention.
Judges, due to time, we've just been asked if you could ask one question. I know sometimes if you feel like your question wasn't answered and you need some more clarity, maybe just briefly, but just one question, just stick to 1 point, please.
Hello. So my question is, are there any other people producing this currently? So what are the alternatives besides yours?
Currently, Cameroon is renowned for producing what we call on the world market peppercorn from Penja. Penja peppercorn, probably some people in the room have heard about it. It's the best peppercorn on the planet so far. They're producing 61 tons of peppercorn per year in a specific region of the country. We are different from them because we want to replicate this model around the countries. The government, when we started this project, thought peppercorn will never grow. Everybody told us, no, it can't. It's only one region in the country that produces peppercorn, it's Penja. And then we started, and A few years later, we're producing 3.5 tons. Everybody now is starting to say, whoa, okay, if it's not only in Penja, it's in Dikimeki, which is the region we're producing this. There's a rural area. We have 75 employees at the moment. And then the idea is to replicate that experience throughout the country. And then we have only one competitor in the country. Most people come produce sold in the country come from different countries around the world, Asia. But sorry for saying that, it's not as quality as this one. Sorry, I don't know if I answered.
Thank you for a very interesting presentation. I have a question about the market and the scalability, because also from your written submission, it seemed to be that part of the motivation is that you ultimately like to export, right? Yeah. And perhaps initially regionally, and then later on you mentioned the economic partnership agreement with the EU as something that you wanted to leverage. Yeah. Could you explain a little bit in that context whether in light of that you are starting to prepare cultivating these peppercorns in line with certain international standards, or whether there is a more incremental approach to getting these products up to the level where they would need to be should you be exporting them at the world market?
Okay, the idea here, definitely from the start, is to produce a high-level quality of peppercorn that can be sold worldwide. That's the beginning of this project. That's why we produce, and we put much effort into producing this. And then we understand that if we do it ourselves, it could take us too much time. That's why the idea is to include these youth from the rural area, because we believe the most readily available resources we have in Africa is the land, the top 50 to 30 centimeter. We want to make sure that is explored by the rural community, especially the young people, but we need to empower them with knowledge, the know-how, to make them produce the best crop that can yield the maximum revenue. And then from that rural area, the product should go into the international market, giving them the ability to reap up the reward of these sales, therefore giving them the chance to start building their houses in concrete material and then stay stable in the village, as we call regularly, so to avoid them to go and then to contribute to the development of their communities. That's the idea here. Now, in terms of if the peppercorn is the quality, yes, it is quality peppercorn. But we have the ability with this product, we're selling at the niche market at the moment. We have a supermarket, leading brand Carrefour, for instance, that is in Cameroon, is starting. As soon as they saw our product, they order everything we had. They say, we want this product. We're supplying them every week with a product. And then this kind of leading supermarket, foreigners go to there. And then this is for us a way of trying how good our product is. If it's accepted by this leading supermarket, Hilton Hotel, we're providing to Hilton Hotel. I mean, these are the people, we're selling a product that a few years back, people thought it would never grow in different parts than where it's currently growing. And then the idea is to replicate this from Dikimeki to other cities, to other cities, to other cities. And then in a few years' time, we'll have a whole country producing peppercorn to get into this international market, with America and the United European Union importing around 550 tons of peppercorn annually, with a market value of $1,500 million a year. And this is something that we need to get ready to tap into. Thank you.
I just wanted to ask, in terms of the number of farmers that you're going to use, are you having anything like a scheme to actually encourage farmers to grow this peppercorn? And you've mentioned that in the regions in which you are, it's only, yes, they can make it. There's 2 regions. How will you encourage other regions to try the production of this, so that you can have for your supply and the demand? If you have a huge demand, because that's what you're actually telling us, you'll be able to supply them with the quantities that they need.
Okay. We have different institutes in the country that will help us organizing this. I mentioned earlier Agropol, which is a government program that helps farmers in order to help them, assist them with their visibilities, and then the management scale, everything probably they need in order to get ready for that. But what you're planning to do, I don't know if I could answer the question this way, by having these people on board, the government institute, they will facilitate us access to institute or to community. We need to speak to chief tribe. We need to speak to mayor of communities, explaining them our vision, what we intend to do, and then they will give. It happened in Dikinimeki. We currently have 450 hectares of land that have been granted, ready to farm if we have the means to do that in Dikinimeki. I think that experience, Pali 2.0, could be replicated everywhere else. We have an institute, the Cameroon Development Institute, that is currently working with us, and then they're going to coach us for 9 months, then to see how the program works. I think if it's a success, it will be easily replicated as well.
André, not just on the African continent, but in various parts of the world, farming is not a very attractive career option for a lot of young people. So how are you getting buy-in for them and getting them super excited about what you're doing, because the focus of your project is to empower these young people?
First thing is definitely to be with them. In London, I could not do this. I had to come back, not to live in the city, but to live in the rural area. You need to show them you're present with them, that you sacrifice maybe much, but you came to live this experience. And then when you explain to these young people that, listen, you used to, maybe you don't like farming because you're growing the wrong crops. Maybe you don't have the correct accompaniment. Right now we have a consulting team from London that is coming to help us develop the soil testing. Everywhere we want to plant, we need prior testing of the soil. We need to test the soil first to make sure we can amend it if we need, and so on. We have already somebody on board that will do that job for us. So when you show them that it's not only for us here, the idea is if you are using to have 1,000 per month for this crop, you can have 10,000. And then we are there with you. And once this crop starting producing peppercorn, 3 years, 4 years later, you starting harvesting this plant for 100 years. And then you have that money every year. This is what is missing. They're doing tomato, they're doing, short crop, and then it doesn't last for long. They have an experience that lasts for 3 months, 9 months, and then they get discouraged. If you have a perennial crops like that one that can hail a high level of revenue, you are sure to get young people on roll board. Thank you.
Thank you so much, André. I'm going to call now Deborah from OmniTech Consultancy.
Greetings, everyone. OmniTech is a company that supports education through technology. Students need to be equipped with 21st century skills. And even though the number of enrollment in schools has increased in Ethiopia, they are not being equipped with the 21st century skills. So we're addressing that, and gender inequality in tech is low. And data shows that less than 35% of women are working in tech right now. And also math scores have dropped from 2009 to 2016 by 15%. So our solutions for this are two. Our first solution is OmniCoders. We have been teaching schools at girls and boys also, mostly girls, an after-school program called OmniCoders. And in this program, we teach them coding. And it also has a mentorship and competition program at the end. So we first started with 50 students in 2016. And we've reached also public schools and organized our first OmniCoders Challenge this year. And also we have worked with UNESCO and SAP on the first Africa Code Week this year. And so far we have reached 10 schools and 1,020 students. So, but our product is not that much scalable. So we have also produced a new product called OmniClass, It's a customized learning management system that is focused on STEM. It's like an online learning system that is localized in the language and curriculum of every country, and it's easily accessible. It also has data analytics for the teachers to analyze their students. So the business model for this are three. One is from subscription fee from schools, and also from parents who can afford. And also we plan to work with developmental agencies to scale this to the rural areas. So the market opportunity, there are more than 35,000 schools in Ethiopia alone. That's 4.2 million in income. And there are more private schools than public schools in Addis. Our competitors these are our competitors online. So our growth strategy using the worst case scenario, scaling by 10 schools per year, we grow 5 times. And the impact of our program so far, almost 90% of our students want to pursue coding as a career in their future. And also they don't think it's only for boys. So this is our team, and anybody who'd like to work with us on this from the Ministry of Education or from any other developmental agencies, we would welcome it. Thank you.
Okay, I like it when I hear STEM because I'm in the education space as well. So the question that I have is that first, do you pay the schools? Do the schools earn some money because you're working, using their classes and stuff like
Our
that?
OmniCoders program, yes, we pay them rent
Okay,
for
excellent.
their ICT labs.
Okay, good. And then the follow-up to that is, what do you need in order to, send your system or your program into a school? Like, do you need laptops? Do you need like software to install? Like, what do you do to take it to school?
The new one.
All of it, the coders
Okay.
and
the OmniCoders program, we don't take anything from the school. We just rent their lab, and then we assign teachers of our own, and they just teach the students after school. This one, we plan to install it on their lab's computer. Then they will just have to switch it on and listen. So.
Thank you for the very interesting business idea. I really like it. My question would be, can you take us through like how everything works and how you partner with the schools? And why do you have to pay rents for the schools? Can't you, partner? Isn't it also value add for their students? And how does it work? Like, do you send your teachers there? How does the whole thing work? How long it will take for the students to actually get the idea and learn? Is it a 1 month? Is it a 1 year? Yeah.
There are 3 semesters in a year, so it takes. If they pass the first course, it takes almost like 7 months. The first one is 3 months, and then the second one is also 3 months, and we also have summer class of 1 year, 1 month. So it takes almost 7 months. But if they are interested, they just scale up their skills. And with regard to what you asked, the public schools, Reach for Change is funding us, and we're giving that for free, and they just we don't pay them rent, and it's okay. But the private schools, since they don't earn anything on it, and we have to convince the principals to allow us to use their labs, and it's not an interesting thing for them, but yeah, it's the fact. And
Wow.
but if we do this one, the Omni class, they can also charge the students we just make them pay the subscription fee. So they charge their students, and we also made a projection for them, like they will profit from it, we will profit from it, and it's more interesting for them. And more scalable, like the idea is if we install it 10 schools, it's more scalable than this one, because we have to go convince them, and we're renting it. It's not that interesting for them.
Well, thank you very much. This is really exciting, and it's great to also have a woman come up with this idea about coding. I think that's great, and I'm sure you are a coder yourself. So that's really inspiring to see.
No, I'm not a coder.
Oh, you're not actually?
Yeah.
we'll not talk about
my
that.
partner is a coder.
Well, you must have a great team then as well. My question is a little bit about who specifically you're targeting. So you mentioned the competition, and one of them for me that stood out was YouTube, right? If you are a person, say in Ethiopia, and you're driven and you're interested in learning how to code, presumably those resources are there, and if you're eager enough, you could find a good internet connection and find those, right?
Yes.
So those individuals presumably have access to different resources.
Yes.
So where in that context do your programs, your products come in? Is that targeting women that may not have, per se, as we heard also in the previous session, the confidence it requires to think this is something they could do? Are you working on nudging some students a little bit into this direction? Or are you also adding value in terms of customizing the services you're providing, so you're giving it in a local language, as you mentioned, and perhaps in different ways?
Yeah, like this one is customized in the language and also in the curriculum of what they're going through. And it's not only limited to coding. It can also be in mathematics and engineering and technology. Other things can be added to this one. So we're just customizing it in the language and curriculum.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah, I think for me, it's in terms of how you, the employment creations, how many, because I think you have about 3 to 4 people in your team.
Yes.
Do you have to train the teachers in the schools to actually be able to increase the potentials of having your program incorporated into the schools?
Yes.
Or will you just take your team there and actually train them? Which way do you do it?
We want to do a training of trainers.
Okay.
And then we just want to leave it to them to just go with the idea.
To be able to scale it up?
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Deborah.
Okay, thank you.
Siyabonga, Tshabalala.
I greet you all. Did you know that South Africa alone has produced 42 million tons of waste and less than 12% was recovered? That made me leave my job as an environmental officer to go find a solution on how to tap in this market opportunity in order to create job opportunities, alleviate poverty, and also climate change. The solution, I've just added value by buying waste from 54 communities under the Nkomazi local municipality, and also divert waste from landfill site, sort it, bale it, and sell it to SEPI, Extrupet, and Collector Can. SEPI, Extrupet, and Collector Can are the recycling companies that are paying good in South Africa. Through that, we have managed to create 21 job opportunities. We've also managed to create 1,033 job opportunities through waste picking and sale to Siyabuddy. Our vision that is calling for action is to install a material recovery facility at the structure that we are having at the Steenbok landfill site. The material recovery facility is that technology that you can see in the structure, which means all the municipal trucks that are collecting waste, they will be no longer disposing at the landfill site, but they will dispose at that pit, then the waste it will go into the structure. There will be people who will be separating from the material recovery facility. Now, can you please go back? This will increase our jobs from 21 to 141 jobs from 1033 to 2033. This is happening, 21 jobs we have in 1033. It will decrease waste going to the landfill site by 80%. We don't want waste at the landfill site. Waste, when it decomposes, it produces methane gas, and methane gas contributes to climate change, which means we'll be able to recover 655 tons. This will triple our profits. We've been doing this for 3 years now. What is needed is just copy and paste to other African countries that has landfill sites. New businesses in line. The MRF plant, the material recovery facility, it won't only bring in recyclables, it will also bring black plastic. Black plastic, most recyclers, they don't want it. They say it carries hazardous goods. So we have created bricks out of the black plastics. The other business in line, it's lava, which it will be proteins for animals like chicken, fish, and goats, not goats, pigs. And then we'll also have manure, which will replace synthetic fertilizers that pollutes water. The team, it's me, Siyabonga Tshabalala, who has a BSc Honours in Environmental Science. I worked for the National Department of Environmental Affairs. I'm also a member of the Youth Chamber in South Africa. My partner, Nomuntu Dlovu, has a postgraduate diploma in business administration. We have also shared 25% to our workers in order to give them that sense of ownership because they are working with waste. By so doing, the Industrial Development Corporation has then funded us 101,000 US dollars. Thank you. I would also love to call anyone who sees this impactful to come and meet us outside. Thank you.
Wow, that's really interesting. But listening to you, I'm thinking to myself, you don't need $5,000. You don't sound like you need $5,000 because you have something amazing and it's big. So tell me why you should win. Why should you be given $5,000? What would you do with it?
Okay, as I've said, I've created 1,033 waste pickers. The $5,000, I am going to raise awareness in order to raise at least 5,033 people or waste pickers. That it will increase our profit margins because the waste that we'll be getting, it will also increase, which means the environment will be safe from environmental degradation. People will be collecting waste.
Amazing. Yeah, I'm speechless, honestly. I really like the idea and I really love your passion. If I ask you something, what is your biggest challenge to do all? This is incredible for me. What is your biggest challenge and how are you planning to solve your challenge? And
my biggest challenge is seeing government institutions still building landfill sites. We have to divert waste from landfill site. We have to now recycle it. That is my challenge. I want to address that.
Well, really interesting idea, and it could solve so many different problems, as you've mentioned, so congratulations. The question I have listening to you is that this sounds to be something where you can really do good and make a profit, right?
Yes.
And why is it, or maybe I'm being presumptuous here, but what other actors are doing this? Because presumably you're not alone, buying the waste and then reselling that to manufacturers. So what's the competition that you're facing? And also more specifically, when you're contracting with a landfill to buy up waste, do you then get a contract for a monopoly over that waste, or do you have to share that? And how do these types of considerations play into your business model and the development thereof?
I can call it a monopoly contract because the sole rights to recover. I'm the only one who's recovering at the landfill site. And the other question, what was it? Okay.
Basically, the other players in the field.
The competition.
Yes.
Yes. I used to have competition, but I have turned the competition into the opportunity. Now my competitors are my partners. They are now selling through me, and they are now selling to me. their waste materials. Why are they doing that? It's because this business needs cash flow. You have to get waste, sell. You have to get waste and sell. The way to get waste, you have to buy it. And the small recyclers, they will take at least 3 months in order to manage to make a truck full so that they can get cash. So I went to them, I negotiated good prices, so they are now selling to me, most of the small recyclers in our community.
Sorry, Colette, we can only do one question each. I'm going to hand over to Alio.
I just wanted to ask, in terms of the equipment that you have, and also the young people, sometimes certain people in Africa, for example, might shy away from waste management or collecting waste as a job. What kind of incentive? I know you mentioned giving them a percentage to motivate them. What other incentives do you have to encourage more young people to join you in terms of in this business? What other initiatives do you have to encourage other young people to join you in the business?
Other initiatives?
Incentives, like something to motivate the young people to come and be part of your team.
Okay, the only way to encourage the people to join me is through buying. When everyone knows that waste has value, they won't throw it. Instead, they will bring it to me. In that way, they are encouraged because it has value. Yes.
Thank you so much, Siyabonga. Gemechis from EthioGreen.
Excellencies, dear distinguished jury members, ladies and gentlemen, how many of you here know Injera? Please raise your hand. Wow, very good. That's amazing. For those of you who do not know Injera, it is just like knowing Ethiopia. If you know Ethiopia, people expect you to know Injera. Injera is a flat Ethiopian bread that can be consumed in nationwide in Ethiopia and in every household, and if possible, at each and every meal. So, our company EtoGreen has employed about more than 63 employees who are common, and indirectly those who are indirect. So we have employees, those employees are very young and the women, and we gave them opportunity. Indirectly, there are about 23 employees that are not permanent with us. And what we're doing is, we do have, Ethiopians are currently, Ethiopia is a country over 100 million right now, and the population growth is going very fast. Of these 110 million, 70% are users. Of this being 51% are women. With this growing population, so many users are flooding from rural areas to the urban areas seeking for a job, and the number of Injera consumers is increasing. This increase in number of consumers is causing an adulteration and unhealthy food. Not only unhealthy food, it is steadily growing and the price is not affordable for the bottom of the pyramid. As I said, to make injera, we need teff. This teff is naturally gluten-free and a tiny grain. We source this teff from women farmers to inspire them and to motivate them. What is our solution, though? When I say adulteration, adulteration is adding, those people who are local vendors are adding non-food items, such as sawdust and gypsum. This is very inhuman. Our company was feeling a customer pain point and they come up with a solution. This is an actual injera. And we come to decide to resize it to the half, resizing and making 100% F, so that people who are not able to afford one injera with 8 birr can buy it for 4 birr. And currently we are reaching out to 10,000 people, local clients in Addis Ababa through using 26 distributors in Addis Ababa. And we do have 3 clients from United States as our agent. Our business model, 30% of our income is generated from local and 60% is generated from export. And as you see it, our growth is very fast because injera is being consumed by all Ethiopians, and our sales is tripled by 3 times, starting from 2016 to 2018, if you see it. We are selling close to 1 million. Our team are very dynamic, and we do have women entrepreneurs and CEO. Our competition is very tough because we have a lot of reputation. What is the last one? We do have an opportunity, AGOA, Africa, and injera is being needed. The demand of TF is very needed over worldwide. So, if you want to impact women, want to help bottom of the pyramid, and give employment to the users, and also achieve sustainable development goal of ending hunger, I'm calling you all to invest with us. Thank you so much. Any question, please?
Again, another great presentation. I'm actually a huge fan of your product.
Thank you so much. We appreciate it.
Yeah, but I have a question again. So my question is, one would be, what is, like, you told me about your unique selling point, and how are you planning to market it? I know, you know, your product through different ways, but not, like, I've never heard of your product from any medias or marketing. Are you on social media? How are you planning to promote injera out, you know, and taking it out of Ethiopia? And 2, why are you thinking of your packaging? Is it really sustainable? But you're also talking about making it, your injera is like 100% gluten-free and organic and this and that. But what about your packaging?
Very good question. The social media that we're using is Facebook. If you Google our Facebook, it's quite active. And also we are developing our website currently. We do have a website, but it needs improvement in a very good manner. We believe networking is, without networking, everything is not working. And we are pretty doing on it. And so we want to influence people and reach out to them. What we are doing, you know, what influence that we are bringing in employing women, what influence that we are bringing by giving an opportunity to BOP, bottom of the pyramid peoples, you know, who cannot consume and buy it. So we want to use different Twitter and stuff, any social media that can impact and give us an attention, you know. So we want to inspire women, and the woman empowerment is part of our job, by the way. And when it comes to packaging, we are the first one locally to pack it and to label it and sell it like this. You can ask anyone, any cow will witness it. We have a good reputation. Because of our good reputation, last time His Excellency Mayor Takaleuma, Addis Ababa Mayor, came and visited our factory. He was very fascinated. Because apart from injera, we are conducting several TF-made crackers, snackers, and also not only that, TF puff and stuff like that. They are getting us attention.
I'm sorry, Mahlet, we're gonna one question per judge. We are so rushed for time.
So, but he's not answering my question. Is this sustainable, and why are you doing to make it more sustainable in the future?
Can we come back to that? I'm going to hand over to Alia. Alia, you've got a question first, please. Sorry, we are being rushed for time. Sorry.
Yeah. Thank you. I think it's really an interesting initiative. But now the fact, my question goes back to, if you want to expand. Let's say we're talking about the Africa Free Trade, the AFTC, yeah? If I want to have injera in Gambia, how will you actually communicate and actually get it to different countries around the country? Not only looking at Europe and West Africa, but within the African continent.
That is a very good question. By the way, we want to sell it to Africans because injera is quite very well known in the world. You know, TF is being known as a super grain of the world. And celiac disease, persons with celiac disease, vegans want to use it. And if you want to export us, I would love to happily serve you, because we want to export to every world in the corner of the world. Injera has to be known as a world food. We don't want to limit it into Ethiopia only. So if anyone is willing to join and import into this country, we are more than willing to cooperate, and our CEO is also here with me, so I'm quite happy. I can facilitate for you in any way that you want.
Hi, great presentation. My question is about the value chain of your product, the value chain.
Value chain.
Yes, and I may have missed something in your presentation, but what I'm fascinated by is that on the one hand, you're supplying a product that seems to be cheaper than other injera, right? It's affordable. Yet on the other hand, you've got quality standards that seem to be higher, right? And you have certificates, and you're in the process, I believe, of applying to US FDA certification. So, two questions. Where are you cutting costs? How do you get there? Because typically it's the other way around, right? You have certification, it's expensive, the product will be more expensive. And secondly, how integrated is your value chain, and where do you start? Do you work with the farmers that are producing this, and are you supervising them, and how does that work?
Thank you so much. This is a very technical question that I was expecting. In fact, we have started commercial farming. We are working with about 500 farmers, cooperatives. We signed, it is named Merkab Cooperative. That is where we cut cost, We provide farmers with what they need and the expertise that they have needed, expecting us, apart from the women farmers, so that when we source from them, the cost of the raw material will go slower, and that is what we give without compromising quality. That is where we cut it, and we want to sustain it. If we farm in the near future, we want to go to farming ourselves, but now we want to empower farmers right now. We are at the stage of working with several farmers so that the farmers will get beneficiary. If they are selling to the traders, they will lose a lot of margins. We want to cut off the traders, and we want to implement them in a good farming and the community impact as well, building a school or some kind of facility is part of our plan, and we already started it. That.
Did you have one more question, Charles? You good? Mahlet, you can take Charles's opportunity there and ask the question you wanted to ask about the packaging. You good?
Sustainability of the packaging, we're going to change it very soon because there is a better way of doing it. This is not environmental friendly packaging for now. I have to be brutal honest. But what we are going for right now, due to the research that we conducted, we are going for biodegradable packaging in a very soon manner. In order to do that, we are working on it. And one way or the other, we will be there because we are committed in bringing the best of Ethiopia to you. And our name is EthioGreen. We want green Ethiopia, not environmentally polluted Ethiopia. Due to the accessibility and the finance and the stuff like that, it is currently we are using it. And still this one is the best locally, to be honest. But we are not yet satisfied because we have homework to do. We will work upon it in doing biodegradable packaging very soon.
Thank you so much, Gemechis. Fode, you ready? Thank you, Gemechis. It's good. Fode Youla, and he's from Petite Amba. Petite, is it petite or petit?
Petite.
Petite. Petite. Isn't that such a nice word? For those of us that don't speak French, it's such a wonderful, petite, I love it. Okay, over to you, Fode.
Good evening, everyone. We're here today to talk about fonio. I don't know if anybody here has ever heard of fonio. Fonio is one of the world's most ancient grain. It's actually older than rice itself. Fonio is gluten-free. It has a lot of amino acid, and it tastes really good. We like to think about it as the perfect replacement for rice. So any rice dish, you could actually replace it with fonio. Bloomberg magazine calls fonio, and I quote, the superfood that could solve famine and the drought. 75% of the world fonio production is done in Guinea, in West Africa. The other 25% are in other countries in West Africa. The only problem is, as most of the products coming out of Africa, they're being traded with very little added value, and they also, the farmers are not getting their money's worth. Another particularity for fonio is that it's very, very difficult to process fonio. In fact, it actually takes a full day of processing traditionally to have a dish ready to be consumed. Our solution is very simple. It's called the 5-minute fonio. And what we've decided to do is to take away all the pain point of fonio, all the processing that's been done in the past traditionally. We pre-cook the fonio and we package it in a revolutionary way so that you could actually consume it and have it in your plate in 5 minutes. With almost 3 years of existence, we've actually managed to raise our sales to reach 251,000 in 2019. We did that by having 120 selling points in Guinea. We also have selling points in the United States. We sell it at one Carrefour in France, also in Mali and in Senegal. Our competition, traditionally, the open market, people would traditionally go to the open market and buy the fonio. Takes a lot of time to process, and the quality is not the best. The other competition is also fonio that's being traded, also a very low value. And we're also seeing competitors coming in the packaged fonio business, but also there the focus is not really quality. As I mentioned earlier, 75% of the world fonio is being cultivated in Guinea. This represents a $500 million potential export for Guinea in terms of fonio. The team, it's a family business. The experience ranges from technology, sales, marketing, and finance. We also have 13 women that are working with us daily to clean the fonio. But that's not all. We also have worked with 2 groupments of women that create 65 indirect jobs for La Petite Amba. We're projecting in the next 3 years to reach $1.5 million in sale. And the way we're gonna do that, we're gonna increase production, we're gonna invest in infrastructure, we're gonna develop new markets, and we're also gonna impact the women that have been helping us closer to the farmland. We're projecting to have over 500 women working with us before 3 years. My name is Fode Youla. I'm the co-founder of La Petite Amba, and I would love to partner with you guys to develop fonio in your market. Thank you.
I think you had most of us buy superfood, hey? Charles?
Yes, thank you very much for your presentation. Can I keep the bag and send it to Ghana?
Yes,
so that I can prepare and enjoy that. So my question is really simple. What are you going to do with the $5,000? Like,
a lot of the processing of fonio today is being done manually. If you think about it, if you have a 50-kilogram bag of fonio, it takes a woman 8 hours to actually process it. That's not very sustainable. So we need to invest in equipment, and some of that money will come in equipment. And on the flip side, if you produce a lot, you need to find markets for it. So we need to travel, go to fairs, and try to sell this product.
Great presentation. I have 2 questions. One is, I don't know anything about fonio, so can you tell us a little bit, what it is exactly and the process, if you can take us through. And then the second is, you told us that it takes time to produce the fonio. Is it to grow it? I don't know the whole process, but so what's your price point? Are you serving for a high-end market? Is it expensive, or yeah?
Okay, thanks for the question. Fonio is a grain that only grows in West Africa. As I mentioned, 75% of it comes from Guinea. It's a little smaller than couscous, and it's dry. You add water to it, you heat it up, and then you can have, same way you would do couscous. Now, you can add sauce to it. You could use it for anything you would use couscous or rice as a replacement and prepare it. What was the second question? The processing of the fonio. Yes.
So, like, are you serving for high end? Like, is it expensive or is it?
Yes, we're definitely going for the upper level market. Reason being, it costs a lot of money to process fonio. There's no automated process as we know today that will facilitate this process. We are in the process of actually doing some research, advancing on seeing how we could actually process it. So any food processing company would love to talk to you and see how we could adapt certain technologies that have been done in the past to fonio itself.
Thank you very much. Very interesting presentation, and I did not know what fonio was either. So I learned something. My question is about the value addition of your product and relatedly the social impact. So you mentioned the women that that are working for you, but with the creation of a higher value impact, does some of that additional profit trickle down to the people that are cultivating this grain? Like, what does it look like, and how are you measuring your social impact as well? Thanks.
Thank you. So from the start, we decided we're not farmers. We understand we're not farmers. There are farmers. We present ourselves as transformer, food processor, packaging company, and also a marketing company. So in that case, we work with two groupmen of women that are actually doing all the processing of the fonio ahead of time. They have experience working with the farmers, negotiating prices with the farmers, and then on our end, we negotiate prices with them, with these ladies. So with the operation today, we're employing indirectly 65 women. As we find new markets and we could sell the product, we could actually expand this network and have more indirect impact.
My question is in regards to the farming bit and the farming part. And I think in terms of climate change, we have seen a change pattern in the rain system across the West African region. I know fonio, like in my local language, it's called Finli, which is really nice. But at the end of the day, it's like the rain pattern is changing in terms of the climate change. What are you doing to ensure that this product can be cultivated even after when there's a problem of drought or something like that to avoid it? Are you actually educating your farmers on some techniques actually they can use to be able to do this?
Great question. We're not educating farmers right now. The reason why they say fonio could solve famine and the drought is because fonio doesn't need water to grow. Fonio, you could put it in the driest place on earth, it would actually grow. And one of the particularity of fonio is that its root could go up to 1 meter underground to get nutrients from it. So from a global perspective, I think fonio would survive. That's not a question, a problem that we've addressed so far.
Thank you so much, Fode. So Fode, what I'm going to do is everybody give them a round of applause. You can take a seat. It's really hard to do this, to come up here, especially in a competition style where you kind of have to pour your heart and your guts on the floor and people are judging you. So you guys did so well, and I think every single project was absolutely amazing. And the reason that every single project was absolutely amazing is because the ITC has got partners with incubators and accelerators, so they really get like le crème de la crème. Did I get it right, David? So I'm going to give you 2 minutes, just 2 minutes to think of a final word to say to the judges of why you feel that today you should be walking home with that $5,000. In the meantime, what we're going to do, you can take a seat for this. I'm going to give you 2 minutes. In the meantime, what I'm going to do with that time is I'm going to ask Colette to please just tell us very briefly what it is that her firm does and the service that they offer to the finalists and how that process works. Yeah, Colette?
Yes, thank you so much for that. Sidley Austin, where I work, is an international law firm. We have offices all over the world and a lot of legal expertise ranging different types of issues. And as last year, what we did as well is we have a pro bono program under which we give free legal services to startups or businesses like yourselves that are working on social impact and social change. And there, when you think a little bit about legal needs, typically that may not be the first thing you're concerned about as you're starting a business, but they're really important for your continued success. So, for instance, we're thinking about you're getting a big opportunity for an investment. Now you need to prepare the paperwork, right? The investor may have a big law firm behind it that is coming with, 10, 15, 20 pages of documents full of legalese that is difficult to understand. We can help you get the best deal on the other side of the table, right? That's just one example. Other things we do is we help we help draft contracts, we help draft MOUs, buyer-supplier contracts, but we also give advice on market access and standards, for example. A lot of you had products that are agricultural products. If you want to export, you're going to be looking at compliance issues. So we do work like that as well. So if you're interested in this kind of service, and again, it's for free, please come and talk to me afterwards, and I'm happy to explain it a little bit more how we can help you. Because we would love to help all of you in taking these amazing ideas and skill them up. Thanks.
So what Colette was saying yesterday when we were speaking is that they're giving the service on a pro bono basis, but I mean, to be able to hire a company like Sidley Austin with their expertise and international footprint is hugely expensive. So it's a really great addition to what the finalists could get. I'm going to ask Hilina to please come. Is it possible for you to speak from where you are? Then you could just give a word, and then we'll just go like that, and you can just give one word to the judges. Final word.
So I think I should win because we're focusing on exports and helping the agro industry in Africa, and we're focusing on getting a trade surplus for all the countries. And like I said, also let's close the gender gap in this male-dominated field as well. Thank you.
Gemechis, I think it's you. Are you able to? You can go right there.
Okay. I believe I have to win and go back to home with 5,000K because I have a lot to do because if I go to my company, I have to do research and development, opening a mini laboratory for my company so that it will be invested to buy some equipment which will make quality based and also conduct the environmental issues. And we can also want to conduct capacity building for our employees. If I go there as a winner and as a leader and tell them, look, I won this and you can do this too, they will be so motivated and energized. Everyone, the world loves a winner, not losers. So I believe I have to be the winner.
I have to win this because I enhance environmental conservation by addressing social issues such as poverty, unemployment, and economic exclusion. Economic exclusion is not having a way of having money, waking up and not knowing how am I going to make money. Through Siyabuddy, now you can make money anyhow by just collecting waste and sell to us. Then go start your business with the man that will give you. Thank you.
Yeah, okay. I believe the PSM should win this competition for simple facts and reasons.
We're struggling to hear you.
I believe the PSM should win this competition for one simple reason. Our cities are overcrowded due for one single reason that most of us knows. Our young people are leaving our villages, our rural area to come to city to find life. We need to give them opportunity to sustain their livelihood into their cities, into their villages, by giving them the opportunity to grow a high-value crop and produce an end product from the village by themselves. We're giving them the opportunity to farm this product and then take them through the process of producing it and then have a product sold into the United States or in Europe and have money right directly to them in the village, and then to help them sustain and develop their villages and stay there for the long. This plant, it takes 3 years to develop and mature it. We want to be there with them during those 3 years, so that when they start harvesting their first crop in the 4th years, we are there to applaud them, and then they will keep on harvesting this for 100 years. Imagine you do that in our country, Cameroon. You take 52 states, and then you have, even if it's 10, 20 young people, you find a solution for generation. Their kid, the kid of their kid will be keeping harvesting this product that is sold and consumed across the world. It's not about buying something from them and go and transform it into the city. It's to make them produce it, transform it there, and take the product right from the village to the United States, and then they have the money, and they start building a concrete and stable life in their village. And we want to be part of it. Thank you.
Okay. I believe we should win because we work on kids, and kids are the future, and equal opportunity for all the kids and their future and their education quality is very important. Thank you.
I believe La Petite Amba should win this because we brought awareness to a product that was forgotten in Africa. When we first started selling fonio, or thought about selling 3 years ago, even the women that are working with us today told us nobody will go to supermarkets to buy fonio. 3 years later, supermarkets are telling us that people that would never go to supermarkets are actually going into supermarkets. We want to expand that from Guinea and make it a reality in the world. That's why we honor these women by putting their picture behind our packaging. Thank you.
Again, a huge round of applause to our finalists. And to the ITC. I know when you hear ITC, you hear this really big organization. And in the past couple of weeks, over emails, even before we came here, I've honestly just met some of the most passionate people when it comes to development. So it's not just like this big organization when we say ITC. There are people that are working that have made this possible, who really care for not only development, but that each one of the entrepreneurs that comes through their doors succeed. So a huge thank you to the ITC. So what's going to happen now is we're going to close. Marco, we're going to close. I'm going to hand over back to our MC.